proper relationship to the next life. Many people are fascinated and preoccupied with the questions whether past and future lives exist, or whether heaven and hell exist. This is because these matters remain mysteries obscured by people's ignorance. It seems appropriate to say a bit more about these subjects, especially in regard to whether one is able to prove their authenticity. First, according to a literal translation of the Buddhist scriptures, these things do indeed exist. Second, there is no end in trying to prove the truth of these matters. No one is able to definitively convince someone else of the existence or non-existence of these things. Generally speaking, these matters remain on the level of belief. On the whole, neither those people who accept the truth of these things nor those people who deny them have a clear understanding of life's course, both in regard to themselves and to others. They are both in the dark about the past, and they lack an understanding even of the circumstances surrounding being born in this lifetime. Similarly, they are unable to discern the future, even about what is going to occur tomorrow. Third, in reference to seeking proof of something, there exists the guideline: that which is visible needs to be seen by the eye. That which is audible needs to be heard by the ear. That which is gustable needs to be tasted by the tongue, etc. A dozen ears and tongues cannot verify a visible form, nor can a score of eyes and noses verify an audible sound. Moreover, if one is incapable of receiving certain wavelengths or frequencies, visible or audible perception will not occur. Certain things seen by a cat are invisible even to 10 times the capability of a human eye. Likewise, certain things heard by a bat are inaudible to 10 times the capability of a human ear. From one perspective, rebirth manifests as a direct experience. It is a phenomenon occurring in the mind. Therefore, it can only be verified by the mind itself. Attempts to prove the truth of rebirth may thus follow this sequence. Verification by way of the mind. In this context, the scriptures recommend using a mind that is well concentrated. If one is disinclined to use this method, or if one fears that a mentally created image, nimitta, arising in concentration will be deceptive, one may use one of the following methods. The verification by sacrificing one's life. By definition, no one who is alive has experienced death in this lifetime. If one really wishes to prove the truth of rebirth, one must thus choose to die, but naturally. No one wishes to undergo such a test. Verification by way of case histories and reasoned arguments. For example, one seeks out stories of those people who remember past lives and investigates these accounts. One compares this matter with the verification of other aspects of truth. For instance, in the example above of examining wavelengths of light or frequencies of sound. These rational presentations help to validate this matter, although granted, the understanding remains on the level of belief, not direct knowledge. Fourth, no matter how strong a person's beliefs or denials, or how much evidence is presented about rebirth, that which is undeniable and inescapable, and which acts as the link to the next life, whether one believes it or not, is namely this present lifetime, which everyone must relate to and engage with. Therefore, it is the present life that requires the majority of our care and attention. Buddhism is a religion of practice and application. The main focus is on how we behave in relation to this lifetime, how we conduct ourselves in the present and make the most of this lifetime, in order to live well, and in the case that a future life does exist, to be confident that one's goodness and virtue carries over into the future. In this context, there are several observations and recommendations for one's spiritual practice. In the original Pali Canon, i.e. in the suttas, there are very few descriptions of past and future lives, and of heaven and hell, and in most cases these subjects are mentioned or referred to in brief. If one compares these to the teachings pertaining to the present life, say to the development of morality, concentration and wisdom, one sees that the percentage is very small. In the canonical descriptions of the adverse effects of bad karma and the blessings of good karma, if there is a mention of being born in heaven or hell, these statements are generally added after mentioning several, sometimes up to 10, results that one is likely to experience in this lifetime. These present lifetime results may be followed by the phrase, with the breakup of the body after death, one is reborn in the plane of misery, in a bad destination, in the lower world, in hell, or by the phrase, one is reborn in a good destination, in a heavenly world. Note how the results in this life are given prime significance and are clearly distinguished. The results after death are merely tagged on to the end to complete the account. Moreover, the presentation of positive and negative effects is outlined as a description of facts according with a causal process. One need not beseech or wish for these effects to take place. They occur automatically. An awareness of this leads to confidence and assurance. For those people who deny rebirth, as long as they have not truly penetrated the truth of this matter and remain of the level of belief, i.e. they believe rebirth to be untrue, they are unable to fully dispel deep-seated doubts in their own minds. When the strength and excitement of youth wanes and old age begins to take hold, these people often begin to fear the possibility of a next life. If they have not prepared themselves in regard to virtue, they experience affliction. For the sake of assurance and ease, regardless of whether the next life is true or not, such people should spend their lives performing good deeds. Those people who believe in rebirth should contemplate in the following manner. They should base their belief solidly on the principle of causality, that is, they should view the results in a future life as a continuation of one's state of mind, established in this lifetime. Moreover, they should emphasize doing good in the present moment, in order to cultivate a wholesome life and state of mind, so that any possible future lives are also endowed with goodness and virtue. With such an emphasis, one's involvement with and expectation around future life will be based securely in the present, and one will place greater importance on this lifetime. No matter how fascinated one may be with future lives, one still gives more significance to this life, and one does not perform good actions as a form of investment or pursuit of personal profit. A sound belief in future lives helps to abandon or reduce a reliance on divine intervention or external powers. This is because a genuine belief in future lives implies a belief in one's own good actions. It leads to a confidence in one's own wholesome actions, acting as the cause for advancing and prospering in the round of rebirth, samsara vata. Dependence on external powers, on the other hand, makes one more feeble, and it causes one to regress or fall behind in the round of rebirth. If someone has lapsed into such a dependence, he or she should hasten to step back and generate a sense of individual strength and authority. Regardless of whether one believes or disbelieves in rebirth, one needs to reach the stage at which one abstains from evil and performs the good, irrespective of one's beliefs. If one is a believer, one acts without any expectations in regard to future life, and if one disbelieves, one simply abstains from doing bad. This stage can be reached by practicing in the following ways. 1. One develops a genuine love of truth, dhammachanda, or a love of goodness, kusalachanda. One cultivates an aspiration for truth, a love of virtue, a wish for refinement and purity, and a desire for things to reach their optimal state. 2. One develops an interest in profound internal bliss. An experience of such bliss in itself protects against evil, unskillful actions, and supports wholesome actions. This is because one prerequisite for experiencing such bliss is an absence of immoral behavior, duccharita, and an engagement with virtuous behavior, sucharita. Moreover, the realization of such bliss curbs a level of infatuation with sense pleasure, by which one is prone to performing wicked or unskillful acts. Having said this, in regard to profound mundane bliss, one still needs to exercise caution, so that one does not indulge in it to the extent of undermining one's efforts or of impeding one's spiritual progress. 3. One develops wisdom and lives one's life in accord with wisdom. One develops a comprehensive understanding of the world and of conditioned phenomena, to the extent of reaching an adequate level of freedom and independence. One is not captivated by material things or by sense objects to the extent that one would act immorally for their sake. One recognizes the happiness and unhappiness of other people and other creatures, giving rise to compassionate assistance. One is not inclined to oppress or harm others. This level of wisdom is reached by those individuals who have realized the transcendent Buddhadhamma and who have cultivated transcendent right view, lokuttara samadhiti. At least it is reached by those people who practice and conduct their lives in order to realize the transcendent. If one is unable to reach this level of wisdom, then one should develop faith, which is the preliminary stage for wisdom to arise. This faith is accompanied by understanding and is conducive to wisdom. Here one believes in the path of wisdom and trusts in a life of freedom based on wisdom. Through one's own efforts, one gradually incorporates these principles of wisdom and compassion. These three factors are interconnected and mutually supportive. In particular, the first factor of developing a love of truth and goodness is required for all wholesome activities, which act as the basis for factors 2 and 3. If one develops these three factors, the belief in actions bearing fruit in future life reinforces one's determination to do good and abstain from the bad. This belief, however, is not the decisive factor for determining one's wholesome actions. If people's spiritual practice is still unsteady and they are unable to develop these three factors, it is still better to maintain a belief in the fruits of Kamma in future lives as an incentive for doing good and refraining from bad, than to indulge in essential pleasures and seek out material things for personal gratification. Such an indulgence simply leads to mutual oppression, widespread wrongdoing, and personal and social misfortune. In any case, the belief in the fruits of Kamma extending to future life is designated as an aspect of mundane right view, lokiya samaditi, which acts as a link facilitating progress on the path of virtue.